The Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference just ended, and I realized I hadn't done a flip through of last year's conference notes. Incredible online conference with 30 nature journal educators about how to nature journal and record your connections with the natural world. Nature journaling isn't scientific illustration, but more of inquiry and exploration, field notes, observations, journaling about what you see with words, pictures, and numbers. Secret realization, there are still a few empty pages at the back of this journal. What? How did that happen? I have some ideas for these pages that I'll share later on in this video. What would you put in leftover pages after our conference is finished? Leave a comment to share your suggestions, and I'll share mine in a bit. So this booklet is from the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference 2022. When I finish the Nature Journal flip through of my Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference 2023 notes, I'll link that under that video, under related videos in the description of this one as well. You can also find references about the conference and nature journal educator John Muir Laws in the description of this video as well. And thanks so much for tapping the subscribe button here at Creative Solace Studios for more videos. I'm Kathleen Arola-Johnson, and let's get on to this nature journal flip through. My playground, my creative playground, is the intersection of nature journaling, art journaling, junk journaling, wellness, and personal growth. In this video, I'm not going to comment on everything that I learned from each presentation and each nature journaling teacher, but I want to highlight some of the ways that I recorded the information in this booklet and in this journal. Journal with me as we go on a Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference tour of my notes. First of all, I didn't want to get too caught up in note-taking, so I chose to work small. I wanted to focus a lot of my attention on observing, watching, participating in the presentations themselves. So the format of this book is the size 8.5 by 11 photocopy paper. Some of the pages are photocopy paper like this one, and some are a mixed media paper that's thicker. This was intentional too. The photocopy paper helped me not to get too precious about the pages and to remind myself that this was note-taking or sketch-taking, not a finished piece of artwork. Some of the pages I tore the edges of to give a worn feel to it, a little bit of a shabby chic. I didn't want to get precious about the papers where I was worried about doing something perfected on them. This was more note-taking. I kept the pages folded and loose, so as each session came up, I could determine if it was more of an art session where I needed the mixed media paper, or if it was more note-taking where I could use the photocopy paper. There are two separate signatures of papers folded together, and then, and some interactive cards throughout the book. Let's get that one back in there, more on that later. And I stitched them together with embroidery floss in 2 different colors, just to add some fun color to it. The tabs on this journal are so fun. These sticky notes, this is a sticky note tab. These have the days of the week listed on them. They're not according to the schedule, they're according to how I watched the sessions. The sessions are in replays, so I could watch the recorded sessions if I missed them. Handmade paper tags indicate the name of each presentation and the presenter. This one is actually, some of them are scrapbook paper or tags, and this one is a paint chip of a sample of a paint color. A big shout out and thank you to the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference organizers and the Wild Wonder Foundation, because I did have a scholarship to my first time at this conference. For more information on scholarships, check out the website. And the next year I budgeted it ahead of time. When the conference started, I was drinking chamomile tea that morning. So I made a pocket, a pouch, out of that. It's a little small, but I wanted to use it for the conference schedule that I printed out here because it has personal meaning to me. There's my dog, Kobe. Shh, shh, shh. It has personal meaning to me because I drank that tea as I was starting this conference. So there's how many sessions there were.
I like to add scrapbooking style of mementos like this tea packet into my journals to personalize them.
I loved mixed media art journaling and junk journaling, so there's a little bit of an art journal or junk journal flair to this nature journal, but I didn't, again, want to get too focused on the art making and that kind of play, so I didn't go all out on my mixed media supplies. I love different sizes of pages. The torn edges that I mentioned add interest and texture. They make me want to hold onto that page and flip it over. And here I am starting on this extravaganza of nature journal learning. I included some stickers, some rubber stamp titles, and a lot of interactive pockets. This one houses the daily morning poems on the front of them, and then on the back of them, my response and reflections to those poems. These are handy to be able to take out and use in the future because they're on their own little cards. In order so some extra papers didn't fall out, from time to time I used a paper clip or some kind of a fastener, such as right here to hold these into this pocket. For this presentation, I printed out the checklist and some of my extra notes on a card that looks kind of like a bookmark. I just love this kind of variety. Makes me feel like I'm looking at some secret notes, some field notes, a diary, some special note-taking things. And like I mentioned, I worked small on this next page. This pocket is really tiny. This made it doable. It made it accessible for me to journal with the presentations in real time. I could have done a big picture of, for example, this western fence lizard, but I decided to work small so that I could come back and revisit these if I chose in the future and take a look through all the different variety of techniques that the presenters had to offer. So I hope what you're getting out of watching this journal tour is that I wanted a fun, playful feel to my notes, a little bit of a grungy texture. I touched a colored stamp pad on the edges of this torn paper, just made it look a little vintage. I used mixed media supplies and just the main ideas for my notes. When there was a lot of writing on a page, such as this one, it helped to outline a web or a title or a box with a different color and sometimes vary the color of pen that I used so it's easier to read what's on the page. And when a page was mostly a studio art session, that was reflected in the page with mostly artwork and just a few written words. This pocket is made from wallpaper, and it has cards in here from more than one presentation, all tucked in there together. I printed out some of the artwork that this presenter has painted so I could remember his style, and took some different notes on these cards, even fitting an entire folded up photocopy paper into here.
I feel like I'm discovering hidden treasure each time I open the contents of a pocket.
I included some pages of my own design from some backyard nature journaling that I did in response to the daily challenges. It was fun to take a break from the conference and the computer screen to actually sit down outside and practice some of the techniques that I was learning about. In fact, that was one of the challenges. On this page, I used my Sprocket printer which is a sticker printer in this size, mini printer, to print out some of the layout examples from this presenter so I could remember those layouts. And I think I tried one of them. Looks like I tried a different kind of a layout over on this side. Look at how much note-taking I fit onto one page by sectioning it off into little boxes, a lined area, titles. This is a small paper, and I even got some, looks like acrylic painting in here. Another binder clip was used to secure some tags from a presentation onto that, and a quote. I also used watercolor on the background here. That was a nice mindfulness break, and a break from all the words to have some color in there and some play, some relaxation. Sometimes I included numbers to show the order of some note-taking. And if I didn't have the materials, this was a pastel session, I didn't have the pastels, I modified it. I used colored pencils and made it apply to me and the supplies that I had on hand. I turned this paper sideways, and I love how it turned out in a web format of notes and examples. If I ever want to do anything larger, I can revisit it, but I like seeing so many different techniques and ideas at a glance in one page, like a reference paper that I can refer to in this booklet. It's easy and accessible for the future. I mean, some of these paintings are only 1 inch or 2 inches, so they're mini, and I can see many different techniques at one time on one page. A gentle yellow watercolor wash behind this one kind of unified the plethora of information here. And there's another type of clip up on this page with some handouts from this presenter. On this page, the red subtitles really helped to break up all of this writing on here. I really enjoyed giving a whole page to my personal thoughts and reflections on some of the daily challenges. But look at this tiny page. I stuck a little tiny page into this layout, good for a definition or a little list of things. These varied sizes of pages really add to the whole feel of the booklet for me. It makes it feel like it's a collection of notes bundled together, like I said, a secret diary or journal. Another type of pocket, this one is on a painted paper scrap, and this one includes a whole booklet in it with printouts from a presenter's artwork that I wanted to remember. Now we get to the tab that says the word Beyond. These are the sessions that I watched in the replay. After the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference 2022 was over, I took time with my artwork on this monarch session, and I was excited to learn about the creation of the Wild Wonder Foundation. That's wildwonderfoundation.org. to continue nature journaling, nature learning, conservation, and outreach. The sessions from this conference were outstanding and diverse. Some were more oriented towards art techniques and processes, while others leaned more towards science, conservation, stewardship, or just active listening and looking at the world around us. There's an incredible worldwide community of nature journalers, and I'm so happy to have learned about and connected with this network of people. Here are the empty pages that I alluded to earlier. Let me just show you the last couple of pages that I did on the mixed media paper because they were painted pages. What to do with these extra ones? Have you been thinking about it? And there was a reflection and a Zoom meeting, a discussion and reflection about the conference, and I did journal some of my notes there. But back to these extra pages. I have to say I'm really sorry that I missed out on one session of the conference. I did not get to it before the replays ended 6 months later, I think it was. And seriously, I think I had a block because I didn't want this conference to end. So it technically didn't end for me because I didn't watch that last session that I left out. So I would like to research that presenter, their work, and do my own journal page about what their niche is in the nature journaling community. Then on this page, I plan to include website and social media contact information of the different presenters so I can remember them. I think I'll put one of my own quotes or reflections over here on the small page. In this last back side of the paper, I did make some connections, nature journal connections, through the years since this conference ended, and I'd like to do something about that here and mention how I stayed up with nature journaling and the Wild Wonder nature journaling community throughout the year. I hope you've enjoyed this nature journal flip through of my Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference 2022 notes. I'm Kathleen Arola-Johnson, an online mixed media art teacher here at Creative Solace Studios. My background is in teaching elementary art, and I'm happy to connect with you here on YouTube or social media formats. Thanks for subscribing to this channel too. Check out the related videos. I'll get this one linked for the 2023 conference notes when I finish that up. And the other resources are there for information about this life-changing nature journaling conference. Have a great day, and may you observe and discover something fascinating in this natural world around you today.